Good morning. My name is Chris Watson, and I want to talk to you today on why men and women, professional men and women athletes should be equal, and why they should be able to compete together. But also, I will be informing you on reasons on why people feel like they can't compete together, and how I feel about the situation personally. Uh, to start off, why can't women and men compete together in sports? Considering the fact that they are both professional athletes in their field, why can't a professional basketball player a female professional basketball player play with a male professional basketball player, and vice versa? Other than the fact that maybe they're a little bit faster, or sometimes they might not even be faster. However, I do have a point that kind of speaks on this. Is the word egalitarianism. It's the theory of equality where all people should get the same, be treated the same, as well as be treated equal, according to the Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy. It is that men is it that men are scared to lose to women? Is that why us as a society are putting this hold on women as to they can't compete with men in sports? Or are they trying to protect women so they don't want them to get hurt? Why are, that comes to the next question. Why are women limited to only playing against other women in professional sports? If they're all considered professional athletes, they should all be able to compete against each other, in my opinion. However, though, I will say that professional sports leagues are trying to include women more than usual, considering the fact that they're professional sports teams that have women coaches. The 49ers has a female assistant coach. There have been a lot of female referees. We have yet to see a full female referee staff, but I feel like it's getting to that point because the NFL is including female referees. The NBA is including female referees. College sports have female referees included, and it's even coming into play on video games. They're including female referees into the gameplay to make it seem more equal, as well as integrating the putting the women's basketball league into the game as well, to give them a space so they know they're not just out there in the dry, and it's just they're separate because it's the same, but you don't want, like, it's the same, but people want to separate it, so you're trying to keep it as close as possible. As I said, how the 49ers do have a female assistant coach. When you have this female assistant coach, I have yet to see a female head coach. But when you have this female assistant coach and you have a male head coach, as the male head coach, you have to make sure not only your players respect her because she's a woman, but also your other coaches, because they may tend to run over her, or since she's a female, they may feel as if she doesn't know what she's doing, or just try to genuinely speak over her. You have to keep in mind that you have to give everybody room to speak in the room, and you have to be mindful of other people's ideas. Not even just because it's not like yours, but you still have to be mindful of it, even if she's a different gender, or maybe she can't play the sport professionally, but she still knows the sport. As I go on, Miss Melissa Philandria stated that as these kids are getting older, co-ed sports are good, but once they get to around the age 10 or 11, they should stop kind of playing sports together because of puberty, and that's when kind of like the young men kind of get the advantage over the females. That's when they start to get bigger, stronger, faster. At least some of them. According to Kevin Neto, women tend to train often harder than the male athletes, but they don't really have much to show for it, considering the fact that they train more, but it kind of like equals it out because men already have testosterone and metabolism that's already going for them. At least some of them. Um, yeah, as I said earlier, the main reason people do not want to integrate the sport is because they feel as if men may have a large advantage. this can be into play, but it also cannot at the same time, because often, I ain't gonna say often, the male is the better athlete, but in some cases the one you might have a better female athlete. Also, however, some of the downfalls would be when you do this, you put your stadium revenue, your gym revenue, whatever, arena revenue, whatever you want to call it. You put a high risk on it, because some people might feel like, oh, I'm not going to watch the game because it's not going to be as interesting if I have a female out here with a male, and he's not gonna try as hard as versus when he's playing just straight men. And while this may be a fact, you still have to. That's when you kind of equal it out. But that's when they'll lower. That's when the stadium prices and arena prices will lower, but to keep their fans and to keep more people. One of the pros to integrating these sports would be you would have less injuries and less fights as well. I would say less injuries, going back again, because the men probably feel like they won't have to compete as hard. But less fights. You'll have a female moderator, so someone to kind of speak some sense into it, rather than a male trying to like give him that extra push and make him feel like you gonna let him talk to you like that, or yeah. I will say that there are sports that will be harder to integrate than others. A sport I will say is probably hockey and football, and MMA is not even in the question because you can't fight a woman. But with football, I would say it's hard. It would be harder to do, because at the same time, the objective for some people on the field is to tackle the person with the ball, or the other person, or whatever. So you have to consider that into fact, that means they'll be getting hit. Some of them will be getting hit by these 300 pound linemen, which some of the male athletes can't even take and get injured off of them. So it will put actually raise injuries as far as for that sport. Um, and to end, I want to say, for a closing statement, women fight for equality all the time. So I would say, if you want to make it equal, I say we integrate some sports. However, while keeping our women happy at the same time, we should integrate the sports